I wanna hear your thoughts. I wanna hear your sound. And mama always told me to shout and speak my mind out loud. Come on and talk when you got the time. Freedom, want you on the line. We wanna hear from you. You got it going. Let your voice shine. Platform yours is not just mine. We wanna hear from you. You got it going. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. You're gonna shine. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. You're gonna shine.
The song you just heard was Talk to Me, the Freedom Savage podcast theme song. You can listen to the full version of this song wherever you listen to music. Don't forget to check out 741 Quarantine Studio Remix featuring Quay and Douglas's new mixtape, Freedom Savage, the mixtape. The links to all songs will be under this video in the description below.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's your boy Douglas, or you could call me Freedom. Welcome to my channel. This is season 4, episode 2 of my podcast. I have a familiar face with me today and some interesting topics that we're going to get into. Before we start this video, make sure that you guys like this video, comment below this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel because you need me. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Hey y'all, we are in our first segment, freedom of speech. I have a familiar face with me. I should have said guest, right? I don't care. I have
Take 2.
Yeah. Tati, introduce yourself. I already introduced you, but introduce yourself, your pronouns, the whole gag for the ones that don't know you. I feel like everybody already do know you, but you know.
At this point, my name is Tati, she, her pronouns. I am Tati with 4 eyes _
I've been really busy due to school, so, you know, your boy is working, not just on school, but other stuff outside of school. So if these podcast episodes don't roll out as fast as you guys probably want, just know that I am doing my best to always try to get to my YouTube content. It just takes time. I have all my notes pulled up here on the side of this screen right now. You're going to see me look here because I have all my notes and everything that I want to say here. With that being said, we have discussed the experiences of riding New York City public transportation on this podcast several times. I unfortunately was a part of a mass shooting event that took place on an N train a couple of years back in April of 2022. If you guys want to hear about that and kind of like dig into that story, it is in season 1 of my podcast. I don't remember which episode, but I will leave it in the description below because that was a crazy ass day and just moment and the whole 9. Also, in season 1 of the podcast, we discussed the conditions of the trains and even the shitty experiences with riding some of the city buses. In season 2, we spoke about the of Jordan Neely, I hope I'm saying his name right, a Black man who was unnecessarily choked by a white guy on the train. If you have been to this city or live in this city, you are aware of, have taken, or still take the train. For most of us on a day-to-day basis, everyday commuters getting to work, you know the gag. In season 3, I addressed that the price of getting on the train and buses have increased. So I think it used to be, what, $2.50? Now it's practically $3. I'm not even going to do it $2.90. It's practically $3. You unmute, Boogie Butt. I'm so glad I got to do that to you. Yeah.
I remember it being $2.25.
The more you go back, it was less and less.
Yeah, but in high school for me, it was $2.25. Now it's $3.
A lot of people still, till this day, are pretty outraged about it. Now the cops are being enforced to go stand by train turnstiles and go on buses to make sure that people pay the $3 fare. I actually have it pulled up right here. I did some research. This is from Google. They said that the police in New York City are enforcing fare evasion on the subway and buses to reduce crime and make the transit system safer. The NYPD has increased its focus on fare evasion, with arrests and tickets increasing dramatically in 2023. The NYPD sends hundreds of officers to stations to focus on turnstiles and fare evasion. Fare evasion arrests increased by about 250% from 2022 to 2023, which is crazy. The buses, they actually made a unit for cops to go on buses to focus on bus fare evasion. The MTA police have increased their presence on the LIRR trains and have a policy to automatically remove passengers who refuse to pay. And there are security cameras in all stations. I'm not even going to give that comment any light because how is it that we come out with all these new phones and the cameras are still giving, have you seen this guy? That just don't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. Like the cameras be busted as you see
That makes you wonder, where is the money going?
money going. Oh, I need
Where
a
is the money going?
That's the kid water.
Just last week, I believe this happened in Brooklyn, right? At Brownsville.
Yeah, in Brownsville.
No. But
It happens on, I believe, the Sutter Avenue platform.
okay.
So that's like towards, not the last stop, but yeah.
I just want to say we are going to be getting into the shooting incident that took place at that subway station. Trigger warning, we are going to be discussing a lot of graphic details. I don't think what happened was too graphic, but trigger warning.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to mute out as much as I can, but trigger warning. I'll have time cards. So like, if you guys want to like fast forward through where I like briefly literally describe the case, then okay. There will be links to all of the articles that we've researched. And I will be playing a video for you guys of the incident that's happened along with reading it.
This newly released police body cam video details the tense encounter last Sunday inside the Sutter Avenue L train station between NYPD officers and 37-year-old Daryl Mickles. The encounter ended with 4 people shot, including an officer, Mickles, and 2 bystanders. Investigators say when Mickles first jumped a turnstile, he was approached by officers and left the station. But then he came back, entered the station through the emergency exit, and walked up to the platform. When officers followed Mickles to the platform, they found him holding a knife. Mickles is seen stepping onto a train after it pulls into the station. He's repeatedly told to drop the knife. Then officers deploy their tasers. Next, Mickles is seen stepping off the train, moving down the platform in the direction of an officer. And that's when police opened fire. One officer fired 6 shots, the other fired 3. Mickles has now been indicted on 8 counts, including attempted aggravated assault on a police officer and theft of services.
All right, defendant Daryl Mickles is present virtually.
From his bed at Kings County Hospital, Mickles was arraigned Friday afternoon.
How did your client plead?
Not guilty.
The judge set bail, $200,000 in cash or a $1.5 million bond. Jonathan Fink is Mickles' attorney.
And I can just tell you, just from briefly speaking with Mr. Mickles before the arraignment, that he maintains his innocence. And I think that, there's a lot to be explored in this case. I mean, he was obviously shot by the police and is in very serious physical condition.
There have been several protests in the last few days over this police-involved shooting. In a statement on the release of the body cam video, Mayor Eric Adams said he's praying for the recovery of the innocent bystanders. Adams declined to comment further on the investigation, noting a formal review is underway. Earlier in the week, Adams told reporters,
when I looked at that video, I saw discipline. I saw a desire to de-escalate the situation as much as possible.
So NPR, I believe they, like the company or whoever, like they spoke to witnesses. This person said, it's really what you said. It was a chaotic, confusing scene. And frankly, at this point, we have more questions than answers. What we know now, to be super clear, is just what police have told us. Police officers saw a man entering a subway station in Brooklyn without paying his fare. They say the officers followed him through the station up 3 flights of stairs onto a train platform, where they say he muttered, threatening to kill the officers if they didn't stop following him. They then asked him to take his hands out of his pockets. According to police, he said, "No, you'll have to shoot me first." 2 officers then tried to use tasers on the man. That didn't work, though we don't know why. He then pulled out a knife, according to police, and they shot him several times. Now, that man, Daryl Mickles, if I'm saying his name right, is in critical condition. A 49-year-old man was in the head. He was a bystander, and another bystander, a 26-year-old woman, was grazed by a bullet. The woman is in stable condition. The man is in critical condition. And I believe as of today, the shooter is pretty much fine. I think he's still in the hospital, but they did do his hearing from the hospital. I think they spoke to his mother, it seems like, also.
So they tried to notify the mother, and they went to the mother's house. She was at work, and they left a card on her door or something, or in her mailbox or something like that.
Should more extreme measures be taking place if like that's somebody's loved one? Like if you shot somebody, you think I'm gonna just leave a car in front of your door and just wait for you to
come? Like phone calls, maybe.
Probably a phone call. Probably
someone definitely would have answered their phone.
I just, that already was a question mark for me.
Also, a police officer was as well.
See, that's why I let the girlies do the research. Not paying your fare should have not resulted into something that drastic. Also, in the video, at the end of the video, Mayor Adams said that the situation was held with like discipline and that the cops did everything in their power to like de-escalate the situation. Like, as far as he's concerned, everything was done fairly and properly. I may need an appointment with the eye doctor because I did not see what he saw.
I'm going to say I did.
Okay. So we're gonna have to get into it. That's the gag. That's the gag. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Nobody needs to agree. With that being said, how do you feel about the situation overall?
So obviously, when you first read the headlines, when you hear about, just the gist of it, oh, somebody got because they didn't pay their fare. I feel like you got to look deeper into it. At first, I was enraged about it because, like, this MTA situation, it is drastic and it's unnecessary. I agree with that. However, this situation in particular, they were defending themselves. In my opinion, I'm talking about the police officers. They tried to apprehend him, which I feel like is unnecessary. I do feel like that's unnecessary to of hopping a train. I feel like that should be a ticket. It used to be, but that's another conversation. I feel like a Karen right now. I feel like a Karen. Like they were just doing their job. But honestly, I feel like they were. He had a knife and he kept threatening them. If you watch the body cam footage, he did threaten them. They did tase him. My question was, why did they him and not tase him? Before I saw the body cam footage, they tased him. 2 officers tased him, and that didn't do anything. He actually pulled the wires off from the taser and started running or something. But the taser didn't work. He had his knife out and they shot him. Did they need to shoot that many times though? I don't agree with. They didn't need to shoot that many times. One officer shot his gun 6 times and another officer shot 3 times. I feel like that was kind of dragged, which resulted in all the bystanders and being shot, another officer being shot. They didn't need to shoot that many times. However, he was being very difficult. He was. Okay. And he was being threatening.
Can I ask you another question? What would you have done if you were the cops?
You're ordered to do a job and you decide to do that job. Okay, we have to apprehend him. He hopped the turnstile. They are ordered to arrest whoever does that. Some officers are lenient, some aren't. Me personally, I feel like I would be a lenient officer, but let's say I'm in the shoes of being in that position where, okay, I'm trying to apprehend him and he's threatening me and he's trying to me. I feel like it's kind of justified of shooting him if the taser didn't work.
Like you said, I think it was the amount of times he got shot. I do feel like 1 or 2 shots would have.
It would have. Yeah, the amount of times was excessive.
I don't know. This really speaks to a bigger issue.
Like, even though this happened and the officers are at hand of it, they weren't the ones who came up with this idea of going to the train stations and doing this. They take their orders from their bosses who take the orders from their bosses. Honestly, it's, the mayor and, the funding of, what we're going to give the police funding to go to these. They literally just went to work. Like, it wasn't the police's idea to do this.
But are they supposed to arrest them or give them a ticket? Because usually when I see like the cops at the train station pull people over, it's usually to like, and I've seen arguments and stuff break out. Nothing.
Yeah.
Usually they would just be given a ticket or something.
Yeah. When it comes to that, I feel like it depends on the officer.
But they can arrest you if they want to.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unnecessary to me.
And honestly, I feel like how it is with tickets. Like, I found out years ago when I was like in high school that police have a quota that they have to meet. Like it's like quarterly or something like that throughout the year of giving out a certain amount of tickets or getting a certain amount of arrests. That's why I feel like it depends on the officer. If they feel like, you know what, I don't need the arrest right now, then they won't arrest you. With this situation in particular, he did it twice. He hopped the turnstile, and they told him to get back or whatever. You can't do that. And then he left. Like, he turned back around and went out the train station. They didn't bother him. Then he went back in a second time and went through the door. Like, the exit door. He went through the door. And that time is when they went after him. Like, come on, you're dragging it. We just told you to leave. You left. Like, why are you coming back? I don't know what the quota is on whether they give you a ticket, whether they arrest you. I don't know what they're supposed to do because every situation is different.
How do you feel about paying $290 and jumping the turnstiles?
That's the thing. Like, $290 is excessive. It's like they raise the MTA prices like every other year. Quicker now, because before it wasn't this fast. Like, the MTA price would rise maybe like after, I don't know, 10 years or like years. It's like, it was big gaps. But now it's like, it's actually rising quicker now.
No matter what color you are, no matter your build, nothing. If you're commuting, everybody has, Simone said it best on the podcast in season 2. You have jumped the turnstiles or walked through the door.
Or walked through the emergency door.
You've done it. You've done it or you still do it, period.
And whether it's on purpose or not, sometimes I remember running through the door because my train was right there. I had the money,
sometimes it'll
but the train is right there. I gotta hurry up.
And I feel like if they need to enforce it, like if this episode, okay, it's a law, whatever, you need to enforce it, a ticket at most.
Ticket.
Nobody.
A ticket.
That's worth a ticket.
It's not an arrest. Things that have been tickets in the past, and I say the past as in maybe like 10 years ago. That's not long. Things that have been worth tickets back then are arrests now, and it's crazy.
It's crazy. I almost was fined for walking through the emergency door 2 years ago, and I think I also talked about it on the podcast. I don't know who opened the door for us, but it was me and an old white lady. She went through, I went through after her, and the cop stopped me only. Now, in that situation, I don't like to just pull race card right away, but why just stop me?
Yeah.
Why did I have to show y'all my ID and prove that I was going to school so you guys wouldn't find me? Granted, the cops were being lenient, but if you ask me, there was no real need if you weren't going to pull the lady over too. Like, to me, I'm being fair, and I felt profiled in that situation. I did. Yeah. I'm sorry. I did. Just like we were saying earlier, they need to put money into stuff that actually matters.
Yes. But honestly, and that's another thing, when you go to the train stations in like Park Slope, certain areas, it's a little cleaner. It looks a little better. A lot of train stations
in what area?
In certain parts, the tap and pay don't work. It's nasty. It stink. It's no person that's in the booth to help you.
It's given. There's a difference between Park Slope train stations and Euclid.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the kid,
I have an idea of where some of it goes.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Do we really want to get into it? I don't have the time on my hands, but I'm pretty sure there's somebody in this Big Apple that do. Let's go to these train stations and see where are the most cops at.
Out of here. Talking your shit.
Because I can bet money. I will bet my life savings on which train stations have the most police in them.
It's definitely.
So of course you're gonna go to those areas where people are the most, struggling, or the most poor, or the most, and bombard those places with police.
For sure.
That train station right there in Sutter, once you walk down those stairs, is projects.
Okay.
Whoever is from Brooklyn, they know what I'm talking about.
I feel like the money needs to be put into making the train stations look better.
Safer.
It'll be a busted ass train station, but it'll have one of those big tablets that they had just built. It's like they're building the new shit on top of the old shit.
Yeah.
It still look crappy. It's like
you will have a big ass tablet thing, but then the tap and pay don't work. The Metro card machine don't take cash or don't take card or whatever.
Or something.
Like, a lot of them don't be taking card as if we carry cash. I don't carry cash. I have not.
Said I'm a big digital girl.
I don't remember the last time I carried maybe over a $5 or $10 bill.
When I look at trains in other countries like Japan, South Korea, now obviously different countries, different politics, different systems, different, a lot of different stuff in place, a lot of different factors in place. Those trains practically fly. They glide over their damn tracks.
And I feel like MTA, the amount of money MTA makes, it should look like that.
It should look like our train should have been looked like that.
MTA makes billions a year.
Why are we in 2024 still riding trains from years ago? Like, they even downgraded the cars.
Like, how? The intercoms don't work. The conductor could talk over the intercom. You can't hear nothing the conductor said because the whole speaker is busted up.
Oh, you heard next stop.
Yeah, literally. You can't hear nothing.
Imagine being on a busted train car and the train got to make a different route, like out of an emergency.
Yeah, and then the conductor talking on the thing, trying to give you instructions. You can't even hear him.
But we coming out with iPhone 16s and 24s and shit.
Okay, you putting tablets inside. Like, please put the money where it
The
belongs.
money is going into unnecessary shit. Like, it's important to do track maintenance and other stuff related to making sure that we, are safe when we ride the trains and that the trains are, operating and functioning properly. I do feel like even that has become redundant because why is it that every week that go by, I gotta find out that I gotta find 2 different ways to commute home because they're doing track replacements every couple of weeks
for like 6 months or for the whole summer. Each weekend, every weekend, a certain train station is shut down. You got to find a whole new way. There's other places, they make the track safer so where people can't jump.
It's like they overlook the big problems and they're fixing the money into things that are, in all honesty, minuscule. It's not big. The trains itself, make them bigger, make them longer.
Yes.
Like to me, it's just like with the amount of people in this city, it's going to be really hard to make sure every Tom, Dick, and Harry pass the damn turnstiles.
Impossible to do.
And one of the main things that pissed me off, and I think you actually brought it up, these Omni shits, these machines, they pick and choose how they want you to pay your money. Like they will reject your card. That's been happening to me.
Yes. I've experienced that before. I would tap and pay and the card declines. I'm like,
yo, what?
I know I have money. And then it would not let me go. Now, and then I don't have a Metro card because the fucking machine don't work. So how am I supposed to get on a train right now? Girl, I'm gonna hop it. Like
I meant to tell the friend group about this for a while. For the last 2 weeks, it's been really hard for me to go to school. Like I will have money on my card. I put the card next to the turnstile shit, Apple.
Yeah, the tap and pay.
It will say
it
the
don't work.
Fine. It'll just not fucking accept it. And it'll be money on there more than the $2.90.
Yeah.
It won't accept it. And it's been happening for 2 weeks in a row, like only once or twice for like a couple of days in a row. It just kept rejecting me. And I had to constantly make awkward convo with the people that are waiting at the doors, to make sure nobody goes. And, tell them like, look, I have money on my card, but it's not accepting it. I will have to show them and then they let me through. After a couple of days in a row of this happening, I tried with different cards, by the way. It just won't accept nothing. I tried with one card in particular and it didn't accept the card, but it took $8.90 out of my card for the tapping go. But it still didn't let me through.
It didn't let you go?
No.
After taking $10, basically?
Practically $10. I lost it. You already know me. You know I lost it.
Yo, I would have been so tight.
Girl.
Imagine that's all you had on your card, though.
Girl, imagine if that was all the money I had left.
Imagine that's your fare. This is for me to go to school, and then I got to come home.
Well, I hope the other
Let me get a bagel.
I hope the other turnstiles where I got to go, no. Because I'm walking right over them shit.
Where is the money going? Where is it going?
I said this also on a podcast before, but it's funny to me how they're putting cops to make sure that we get on trains, but they can't ensure our safety on said trains.
Yes. First of all, on MTA, sexual harassment is ridiculous. Yeah, like calling for the police to come help you. They are nowhere to be found.
There are no cops to be found. First of all, with all of this train shit going on, I better not hear about no more slashings and shit.
Exactly.
On the train at all.
No person flashing himself at women.
That's it.
Where are the police then? They are nowhere to be found. They too busy at the turnstile trying to catch somebody hot. How about you just place them on these said trains? When they said that, I'm like, oh, maybe the police are going to be on the trains now. Because sometimes we actually need that, especially women. Especially at night, especially after school hours. Like at these peak times, put them on the trains. Put them on the platform. I can recall getting home late from work. You getting on the train is a weirdo. Me personally, I would walk as a police officer. Oh, this person's following me or he was being, strange. And he was being, can you walk me somewhere real? Like, could you at least make sure that he don't follow me, like just something. Sometimes women need that. And kids, not just women, sometimes kids because it be
heavy on the kids too.
Weirdos on these fucking trains.
Somebody traveling alone, young.
Yes.
When that fat bastard shot up the trains 2 years ago, he was wearing
a construction uniform,
a construction jacket. So really thought he was working for the train.
That's scary. Obviously, you can't really nobody could predict that.
And he up the train. There were people running up the steps, whatever. He decided his quickest getaway was going to be the R train because his fat ass wasn't running up no steps. So he got on the R train and threw on a tux. Like this really had outfit changes.
planned this out.
Planned the shit.
The last time I faithfully went on a train, because anytime after this I went on a train, I can't even remember if I did, but it was probably not by choice. I probably had no choice but to get on a train. The last time I willingly got on a train, I was coming home willingly. The last time I willingly got on a train, I was coming home from work. At this time, I worked overnight. I came home from an overnight 12-hour shift. Imagine the smell. So I'm coming home, and I was on the Q train, I believe. If you know the Q train, I forget the name of the name of the stop, but it's the stop right before it goes over the bridge, and you know that's the longest stop. Canal, yeah, it goes over the bridge, and that stop is so long because it's going over the bridge through tunnels or whatever. This strange man decides he's gonna get off at Canal. Before he got off the train, he sprayed, I believe it had to be mace or something, and he sprayed it before he got off at Canal. COVID is still alive, but I'm saying, like, this is after, you know, everything is kind of opening up again, and you could see people trying to not see people.
One thing about you, hell is hot.
Trying not to fall.
Trying to take y'all out because that's crazy. Wait, was y'all in one of those cars? You know how like some cars you could go through the doors. Was y'all in one of those cars where like the door?
I'm laughing, but I was so scared. The doors would not open.
And we paid $3 for that.
The doors, right? It was an emergency. The doors didn't open. The doors were locked. Because I think a lot of people doing that, like going through the doors. So now they don't. Some trains don't let you open the door. So it's no way for us to change cart. So we going through the long ass stop. It's going over the bridge, and we're literally dying. Like after a while, everybody was comfortable to cough because we realized, okay, it's all of us. Like then you know how like the little window could open a little bit on the train. So it was people standing on a chair and putting their heads, like their mouths out the window so they could get fresh air. I don't know why he did it, but that shit, like, yo, that stop was so long. The next stop, I got off and I called the Uber, and that was it. That was it.
Like I feel like there's not a season that don't go by where I don't talk about these trains. Like I'm so
MTA is horrible. MTA is so horrible.
Yo,
the amount of times I've been freaking basically assaulted on the bus.
First of all, we already know Hoyt and Skim is a toilet.
Oh my God. I don't know what train station it was, but when I worked in the city, but it's right, I think it's 34th Street. It's by the Macy's. That station that I would go through. One day I was going to work. So I got off the train and going up the stairs, and the whole stairs was pissy. When I tell you pee, oh my God.
Shout out to the people that really do take their time cleaning.
The only reason why MTA developed this whole thing, you know, they hire people to clean the stations, and that's your job. But it's like, where are they? I don't be seeing them that much. Yeah, maybe like in the morning or something. I don't really
sure not
see
nobody's
them.
afternoon.
If you're gonna put some money into something, put some money into funding that department, and you know, widen it, give people jobs. It's a job opportunity, and it's better for the train. It's better for MTA.
Also, if y'all really want to take care of the homeless situation, let's also find treatments and housing and stuff for them too. Ooh. Because that's really the reason why they go to the trains.
To the trains, yeah.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a
whole nother topic. This is unrelated to the fare situation, but you did tell me about an 11-year-old boy that lost his life the other day from subway surfing.
Yes.
It broke my heart, but it's also the millionth case that I've heard about in the city alone of kids, grown people like dying from doing this subway surfing stuff. You know, do you feel like the Subway Surfers game has inspired people to kind of want to like do that for real, like subway surf on the trains? Do you feel like subway surfers should be the blame for it?
Honestly, no.
Because we can't say that everybody that's doing that is inspired by the game.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe the first person who decided to do it probably just thought of some random idea because of the game. But however, I feel like it became so crazy now with the subway surfing stories because of social media. TikTok is a trend. And when trends get out of hand on this social media that we have today, kids are very easily influenced by it. And that's really the cause of it. I wouldn't necessarily blame the game. The game is really old. Not that that matters, but I feel like it just became a trend. So the kids just went crazy with it.
What do you feel like should be done? What could be done? Because a lot of these kids do it when nobody knows, or and not even kids, grown folks. This happens to adults too.
Adults do it too. It's hard to say what could be done. I don't know because people are going to do what they want to do. You can't police everything. You can't see everything. Even with people are still doing it. I don't know what to do about it, especially when it's mostly kids doing it. It's like, okay, if they get caught, what happens? What are they gonna go to? I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I just hope the trend just dies off. Because it's hard to really do anything about it.
I agree.
The Freedom Savage podcast will return shortly. Stay tuned.
Are there any words needed? Tati's Sweet House is open for business, and she makes all types of scrumptious and beautiful baked goods for any occasion. DM Tati on Instagram at Tati_sweet_house to discuss pricing and all other inquiries. Quaygold's Beauty is a luxury business that sells essential beauty products such as lashes, lip glosses, matte lip gloss, lip scrubs, body scrubs, candles, and jewelry. Don't even let me hold you back. Go ahead and DM at QuayGoldsBeauty_ to get your hand on the products that you need. Do you want to get some locks or need help maintaining locks you have already? Crown Kinks got you covered. Yes, you heard that right. The goddess of locks got you covered. With Crown Kinks, it's your hair, so it's your say. And if you get a little hungry, don't even worry about it. Free snack and beverage refreshments will be provided to you. DM on Instagram at Crown Kinks to discuss pricing, bookings, consultations, and all other inquiries. All is welcome as long as respect is shown to the wonderful at-home business. As a proud client, I can assure you, your hair will be done with great precision and an incredible amount of care. Wait 1 second, we're not finished. Do you want to take home your own lock gel, lock shampoo, and rose water? Soon, Crown Kinks' lock products will be in your hands in no time.
And we're back with the Freedom Savage podcast.
All right, you guys. So we are in our next segment, Savage Court. We played this game before already. It was a part of Freedom Fun, but I decided to make it its own segment because, and y'all can thank Tati for this because she actually was the one that gave me the idea to do this. And we have a lot of fun playing this game. So I am super duper excited to play this again and bring it into the new season. We're going to get started right now with case number 1.
Let's talk about a case that came out of the U.S. Supreme Court, specifically the Roberts Court, in 2018 called Masterpiece Cakeshop Limited versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. This case was written by Justice Kennedy, and it was a 7-2 decision with Justices Ginsburg and Justice Sotomayor dissenting. Let's get into this case. Mr. Phillips owned a cake shop in Colorado. Now, he made custom cakes as well as just having some cakes available for different occasions and for weddings. There was a couple that came in who were both biologically assigned as males at birth, and they were going to get married. They asked him to make a cake for them. Now, there's some question here about whether they asked for a custom cake or they asked for just a regular cake that they wanted to use. But putting that aside, he refused, saying that he felt his religious beliefs were in direct conflict with the two of them getting married. Now, Colorado has an anti-discrimination act called the CADA, and within this act is the prohibition against discrimination about people getting married who fell under particular categories. So, he appealed and he said, the Commission on Cake Decorating has ruled that some businesses do not have to be forced to make cakes saying negative messages about these kinds of marriages on their cakes. But when I want to go forward and say I'm not going to make a cake endorsing or being for this type of marriage, I'm not allowed. I'm being forced or compelled to make these kinds of cakes for this particular group of protected people. So the question was, does the application of Colorado's public accommodations law to compel a cake maker to design and make a cake that violates his sincerely held religious beliefs about same kinds of people getting married, and does this violate the free speech or free exercise clause of the First Amendment? Now, the U.S. Supreme Court came in and said, look, the Cake Commission was not neutral. They were supposed to be neutral, but they were obviously for this one group of cake makers and against this one. And it was because of religious reasons, and that's unacceptable. So they held that this Colorado Civil Rights Commission's conduct in evaluating the cake shop owner's reasons for declining to make the wedding cake for this kind of a couple violated the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. They went on further to say that religious and philosophical objections to these kinds of marriages are protected views and can also be protected forms of expression. He won his case, was not required to make the cake.
I did find like a little summary of everything that went down. So David Mullins and Charlie Craig, hope I'm saying their names right, visited Masterpiece Cake Shop in July 2012. Damn, I thought this case was.
Wow.
I thought this case was in 2018. Oh no, it just got decided. Everything got done or resolved with Charlie's mother to order a cake for their upcoming wedding reception. Dave and Charlie planned to marry in Massachusetts and then celebrate with family and friends back home in Colorado. But bakery owner Jack Phillips informed them that the bakery wouldn't sell wedding cakes to same-sex couples. Long-standing Colorado state law prohibits public accommodations, including businesses open to the public, such as Masterpiece Cake Shop, from refusing service based on characteristics like race, religion, or sexual orientation. Dave and Charlie filed complaints with the
Colorado.
with the Colorado Civil Rights Division, contending that the bakery violated Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act. Following an investigation and hearings, the Colorado Civil Rights Commission determined that the bakery illegally discriminated against Dave and Charlie when it refused them service. On August 13th, 2015, the Colorado Court of Appeals unanimously affirmed the commission's order, finding that the bakery discriminated because of sexual orientation in violation of state law. The court also concluded that the application of Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act did not infringe the bakery's freedom of speech or free exercise of religion. The Colorado Supreme Court denied review, and the United States Supreme Court granted CERTIORARI. Certiorari? Ooh. Girl. Okay, so it's a court process to seek judicial review of a decision of a lower court or government agency. Okay.
Certiorari.
Okay. Come on, communication is our partner. Clarity's our home girl. I always
right.
You don't know a word, look it up. That's what they
look it up.
back in the day. Update. June 2nd, 2018, the Supreme Court reversed the decision in Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission based on concerns specific to the case. It was like a freedom of religion situation because he was against his religion to sell to
his religion. Yes.
To sell to a gay couple. You know what kind of made me laugh about this shit? What if you sold to somebody and then it went to a gay wedding? And you didn't know?
Right.
Like
the same thing goes. Like he didn't know. So it's like it wouldn't be against his religion. Because him knowingly doing it for, said occasion is against his religion.
Under the ladies' TikTok, there was different people sharing their opinions. Most of it basically was, as a cake shop, he had the right to not want to serve anybody. Some people did feel like he was obligated to serve them. And some people kind of felt like, hey, listen, if he don't want to do it, I'm going to go to another cake shop because he can do something to my food. So I'm going to go because y'all forcing him to do it. But remember, they're in control of what you eat.
Right.
So I would have left his bum ass cake shop. Honestly, I'm not gonna hold you.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been
I just would have went somewhere else.
I definitely would have been like, I you then.
Like, okay, no problem.
But I'm not gonna lie. I commend them for like making it a thing, because what would have happened to the next gay couple or queer couple that would have went in there?
I'm iffy about this.
Okay, so is it guilty, not guilty, or
I don't know, because it's like in one stance you could go somewhere else, because I believe that too. If I go to somewhere to get food and I get into an argument with one of them who's taking my order,
don't even make it yo.
You know what? Never mind. Like, I don't want nothing in my food. Never mind. I'm good. I'm going somewhere
These
else.
niggas will spit and
everything. But who knows? I don't know. I just feel like you cannot force somebody to do something they don't want to do. However,
comma.
Would
you have liked being denied a cake because you was with?
No, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it either, and I would want something to be done about it.
Don't go to their cake shop no more.
No, right? Make a post. Like, can't force him to do what he doesn't want to do. I'm not heavy on religion. I am not heavily religious. I do believe in a higher power. You know, I have my own relationship with my own religion. If someone is highly religious in this way, they feel like they don't want to do something because it goes against their beliefs to the core. Like, what are you gonna do?
I do believe he should have gave the couple the cake and what they wanted.
I feel like the only reason why they didn't go in his favor is because it was against the law. That's a pretty big thing. Like, it's freedom of being married to whoever you want to marry, and then but also freedom of religion.
But what bothers me about that case is it's not even the only time that a queer couple has went into an establishment and been denied service, scolded, and possibly even harmed just because they were there, just because they were present. T.S. Madison, you know, we love T.S. Madison. We watch when she goes live on YouTube, and she broke down a story where a gay couple walked into a Shake Shack and literally got attacked.
Yes.
Just being themselves in the Shake Shack for their food.
And this is Shake Shack.
Like she said, Shake Shack would have definitely been shook. I don't understand.
Shake Shack would have been shook. Because you trying to tell me I can't kiss nobody in the motherfucking lobby.
Right.
You should have been back there drop. Get that grease ready.
Where my fries at?
You worry about me kissing them. Have that grease ready. Have my grease ready.
Because my thing is, if you walking over that counter without my food, it's gonna be an issue. Like, I would have turned that Shake Shack upside down.
Right, like
heavy on
my burger.
He didn't have to serve to them, and that's his miserable ass business. But I feel like, period, that shouldn't have happened to them.
But I get it in a sense of you trying to make a stand. You're trying to, you know, that was 2012. Like, what, Obama?
Same-sex marriage?
I think it was his first term. It was very fresh. It was very new. So I get making a stance. You can even make the same comparison to when it comes to civil rights. A lot of instances probably didn't even need to go as far as it did, but it was the statement that matters. It was the, you know, the bigger picture that mattered, rather than the situation in itself.
So what are we giving this? Non-guilty, guilty, or?
I still don't know.
TBD?
You know what? I'm going to give it guilty. Because even though they could have went somewhere else, I feel like what I said kind of overrides of making a statement, opening the doors, and, you know, changing the mindsets of this newfound
law.
Probably actually change something in that town, in that state, in that, you know, that bakery maybe. Like,
who knows what future issues that couple could have solved now that they
exactly know, that's why I say that. So
yeah, kudos to them, and I do hope that they were able to happily get married and
of course they were. They definitely went somewhere else, but they still went through with that shit. Like,
oh, for real. Next case.
So you meet Kathy. Back when she was 16 in 1974, her mom made her give her daughter up for adoption. And it was one of those, you know, closed adoptions, so no contact, none of that. But she never forgot about the daughter, okay? Well, 35 years later, she gets contacted by the adoption agency because they need her DNA to match to a body they found that they think might be her biological daughter that went missing 21 years ago. 21 years, y'all just now calling me. Them adoptive parents. Dennis and Brenda wasn't shit. The police on the case wasn't shit. Everybody that didn't listen to Kathy wasn't shit. And did I say the adoptive parents wasn't shit? Was wild. Buckle up. Buckle the hell up.
You traumatized the out of me with that true crime story we did last season. So let's get to the true crime bag now.
Okay. In this
trigger warning. Like, trigger warning.
I watched this on Netflix the other day. I think it came out either the 12th or the 13th on Netflix. A woman named Kathy She gave birth to a baby at 16 years old. She was a part of a very abusive household and was forced to give her baby up for adoption. She gave the baby up for adoption. It was a closed adoption. She had no whereabouts of where the baby was, who the baby was with. She wasn't even allowed to, because she was still a kid and she was forced to do this in the 1970s. I don't remember the exact year. 21 years later, in 2010, she gets a letter from the adoption agency. Now, when she saw this letter, she thought that it was her child trying to reach out to her. But when she opened the letter, they wanted her DNA to match to a Jane Doe that was found, because her baby that she gave up for adoption actually went missing in 1989. She got this letter in 2010, meaning her baby was missing for 21 years. So the Jane Doe that they found in a cornfield, they wanted to match the DNA to see if it was, her baby. It wound up not being her baby, but this letter just turned her basically into a monster. And I mean that in a good way. She found out that, her baby was missing for 21 years. She thought her baby was good, in good hands, a good family. But all of this time, for the past 21 years, she went missing. And her name was Aundria Bowman. She went missing March of 1989. So from March of 1989 all the way up to 2010, she was missing for 21 years. I don't want to get into all of it, because you actually have to watch the documentary to get into all the little plot twists and little backgrounds and everything like that. But basically, her finding out that, okay, even though that Jane Doe wasn't my daughter, that means my daughter is missing. So I have to find out what happened. I got to find my daughter. When I tell you this lady went crazy finding her daughter, she created a Facebook page. That Facebook page helped her get so much information from the people who knew Audriana. She hired a private investigator. This happened in Michigan. She went down to Michigan countless times. She did her big one. I can't even spoil it because it's so much that happened. Like, I can't even say it all right now. But in the end of it all,
we find out who did it.
She finds out who did it. So in the midst of meeting Audriana's friends from middle school, high school, because she went missing at 14. So what's that, like a freshman?
Yeah.
So she talked to her middle school friends. She talked to neighbors. She talked to even the adopted family, not the adopted parents, but like the cousin, the aunts, she talked to them. She did what she was supposed to do as a mom. Like, it was like she really went all out to find out what happened to her daughter. And she got to the bottom of it. Because if it wasn't for her, it would have still been cold to this day. So in the end of it all, Audriana wound up being found. And it's crazy because even though she gave her baby up for adoption, and baby was like 9 months old when she gave her up, her mother's intuition was correct. I'm going to just say that. Even though she has not been in that girl's life, it was correct. In the end of it all, she told the police where her daughter's body was buried, and she was right. Just off a feeling. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy.
It's heartbreaking also.
It's heartbreaking.
Like, you gave up your child by force, but in your mind you're thinking she'll have a better life.
Yeah,
this life had ended and you went all those years not even knowing. That's heartbreaking. And you go all these years really thinking that your daughter's growing up doing the things you probably don't.
She had a good life.
I wonder how she is now. Oh, she probably an adult.
Yeah.
All those years after her passing, you're thinking her life is still going.
It's good. Yeah.
She's a grown person.
The whole time she's
underground.
Her killer was her adopted father. The initial police report was that Audriana ran away. Yeah. So before she ran away, she did come out to her friends and even her school principal at the time that her father was her. And her adopted parents took her to therapy, and I put therapy because it was their pastor. I mean, I put quotations because it was their pastor.
No, you were right.
Yeah. She admitted to lying. It didn't happen. It wasn't true. My father didn't SA me. But she did come out to her friends and to her principal that that's what her father was doing to her for a few years. I think about 5 years.
And nobody did anything?
So at one point, Audriana ran away for like 3 or 4 days to her friend's house. Her friend actually was hiding Audriana in her own closet. And then that's when she told her friend that. So her friend was like, we got to go to school. We got to tell somebody. We have to tell an adult. So they both went to school and they told the principal. The principal called Audriana's parent. They came to the school, sat 3 of them in the office. And the principal was like, so what did you just tell me? What happened? So what do you think a kid is going to say? They're not going to say right in front of their abuser, especially it's their father, oh, he molested me. She said, nothing happened.
She got scared,
Yeah, he's guilty. And honestly, it took so long for him to go to jail. So another thing on how he went to prison.
He was a serial predator for a while.
He was.
How is it that they were able to get a child with his background? Because you said it was on record also, some of his.
He had a record.
But I remember you telling me it was the 70s. I really feel like that's something we need to highlight because it really show you the systems and shit back then. When did the sex offenders registry come about?
I don't even know.
I don't even remember like what year that came about, but a lot of this stuff was just starting to really come into place.
He was a white man. He was in the Navy. He had a heavy background of being in the Navy and stuff like that. So exactly.
They threw a child at him.
Exactly. When Audriana was 6 years old, he did go to prison for 5 years for attempted rape and assaulting a woman. Even to this day, they feel like he's done many more crimes, but he just didn't get caught for it.
Oh, and his wife is an insurance policy. That woman is still standing by her man.
The wife is still, to this day, standing by her man. Her name is Brenda. Brenda.
You a dummy. You
a dummy. Brenda, for real. The wife, she needs to be right next to him. Honestly, in my opinion, she needs to be right in jail too.
Just because.
Just because. When they bring up the fact that he went to prison for that, but I forgive him. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about the wife.
What's the name of the documentary?
So the name of the documentary is Into the Fire, The Lost Girl. How he got arrested and how he got caught for it. So there was a detective that got assigned to cold cases. He went back to look into a case that happened, I think, in 1980, where a woman was killed. She was badly essayed. Badly. She was multiple times. They preserved the sheets from the scene. The sheets had... But back in like 1980, it was like, DNA wasn't as good as it is now. So this cop got assigned to cold cases and he decided to look into that case. You have to look at the documentaries to really, because I forget how he got to Dennis Bowman. That's his name. Dennis Bowman being a suspect. Tati, which is the biological mother of Audriana, she used to torment the Bowmans, which are the adopted parents. She used to torment them so bad. She used to call them every day, all day. My daughter, I'm gonna find out what happened. Like, she was on timing. The fact that she used to harass them, the police called them in. It was basically a setup to get his DNA. They called him in to talk about Kathy and to talk about the harassment, when really the point of the meeting was to give them some water, or do you want some coffee? Do you want some water?
Yeah, like what we see the cops do on TV, like, hey, drink, whatever, and they'll take the drink and go run it.
The Audriana thing, Kathy's mom, the harassment, they used that.
Match it to the spermicidal fluid.
To get them in. They took his cup that he used during the meeting and they ran his DNA and the DNA matched. He originally got arrested and charged for the of this woman back in 1980. So like I said, he's part of the Navy. In 1980, he had to go to Virginia for 2 weeks for business, for work. And during his work trip, that's when he did that to the woman.
When he took his life.
So he wanted to stay in Michigan. His wife was older. He was older. He wanted his wife to be able to come see him easily. He also had a younger daughter than Audriana. They had another baby when Audriana was like 12 or 13. So, and the daughter too. Annoying, like Brenda. But,
God, really?
Yes. They basically told him, if you tell us what happened with Audriana, because they still didn't know. Like, it was all hunches. It was all it was no solid evidence, They needed something solid to get him on that case. So they're like, if you tell us what happened with Audriana, we will let you stay in prison in Michigan so that your wife can visit you.
So he confessed.
Yeah, so your wife don't have to, take that long trip to visit you. At first, he was being adamant, but I don't know. I wouldn't kill family. I don't know. Then he admitted to killing her. I feel like the way he said it happened, of how she died, is BS. BS. He's saying she died by falling down the stairs. Do you believe that?
It was an accident.
Yeah.
Absolutely the not.
Okay. So no one really knows the truth. Only he does. Her body was too decayed to even, come up with how. Yeah. Like, they couldn't even come up with how she died. He actually just got sentenced. I want to say in like 2022, right? 2022. He got sentenced to 35 to 50 years.
He ain't got that much time.
Yeah, he ain't got that much time. Anyway.
Tati and I became friends because I found out that she loves Law and Order SVU just as much as I do. I said it last season also when she had first joined the podcast. We decided to throw in some Law and Order SVU cases or whatever.
Yes.
So just put them in there.
You will probably know the episode in the season. It's the episode where it's the little boy. He was a psychopath. He was hurting his sister, like physically, and not even assault. Yes.
First of all, not only do I know that episode, that was the episode of Law and Order I was on.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. I wanted to get into that one because it's not the typical SVU episode.
It's not.
It took a turn for something else.
So for those who, I feel like at this point you should know what Law and Order is, but for those especially SVU, but for those who do not know what Law and Order SVU is, it is a spin-off series of the actual Law and Order show. SVU stands for Special Victims Unit. It is a actual police unit in real life. And this unit focuses on sex crimes. You knew back in the day Elliot Stabler was some of the shit he said and did. All right. And we love Elliot down over here. But
in the beginning seasons.
In the beginning of the seasons, he would have got canceled for a lot of his ideologies, beliefs, everything.
Terminology. Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my God. I think it was episode 1, like literally the pilot. He was in court for a case and they asked him, like, you know, why did you join sex crimes? And he said, because sex should be like the most pleasurable thing in life, not the worst. You know, and I felt like that quote to me was just so strong. And that wasn't the exact quote. I forgot how he worded it, but it was similar. And that quote, I really kind of felt like really shined a light. Like throughout, I feel like that quote kind of rung out throughout the entire series, like even with the current season that's about to come out or will already be out by the time this episode comes out. But basically they solve sex crimes, you know, sexual assault, harassment, all of the sorts, everything under that umbrella. And they also focus on DV sometimes, in a lot of cases, child abuse, child abandonment on the elderly, sometimes even celebrities. Some celebrities, no matter what the case is, some public figures are also considered special victims, but they hate celebrity cases because everything they do is looked under a microscope, and sometimes the celebrities themselves will be annoying as shit. To respond to what you just said, I do feel like in a way it was approached as a regular SVU case because it had to do with child.
Yeah, so the beginning of the episode, it started with a little girl. So Ruby went to school and the school nurse realized that she had bruises on her. So obviously, you know, being an SVU fan, you watch all the episodes. It was said that I believe it was the nanny who did it, or
she was known as the nanny was known as the first suspect. Ruby said that a monster did it.
Yes.
So the detectives did, you know, basically carried out the investigation.
They interrogated the nanny, the father, the mom. It's her older brother, but he's older than her. He was probably
he was still a kid.
Yes, he was still a kid. Yeah, he was like 10.
He was like 10. Yeah.
And she was like 5 or something. The actor is Carl from Shameless. When he was a kid, when he was like 10.
He was still acting down boots though. A lot of people from Shameless have actually done SVU.
Yes, that's true. I've seen a few of them. It comes out that it was her brother. Basically at the end of it all, her brother, Henry, he's only 10. He's had many issues, not with just his sister. He's had many issues in his past. Mind you, he's only 10 years old. A lot of behavioral issues, and like to the 10th power, not no regular 10-year-old behavioral issues. So basically, he was a born psychopath. I think the episode is called Born Psychopath.
Yeah, the episode is called Born Psychopath because basically, and they had Dr. Huang, who, if you guys watch SVU, you know that he was the psychiatrist on SVU. All in the beginning of the series, he was a part of the regular cast as a psychiatrist who would help them with the cases and stuff. He didn't work literally under them. He worked with the feds, but he would come and consult with them on cases. Around this time of the series, though, he only joined here and there. So this was our first time seeing him in like episodes. Dr. Wong evaluated Henry. He basically diagnosed Henry, layman's terms, just as a psychopath. You know, he was I don't remember the exact medical term, but he was 2 standard deviations from like normal or something like that. And
Yeah.
the detective was asking him like, how could this happen? And he, Dr. Wong was like, something like this would have been from the moment he was born. And
Mhm.
Olivia even said, he was just wired wrong. Like
Yes, he was
he was
like he was
something.
born that way, and on top of that, he was assaulted when he was younger as well. He was abused when he was younger.
He
He
said
was
that.
sexually, yeah.
I don't. Did he?
Yes. You don't
Wait.
remember that part?
No.
He was abused when he was younger, and his parents took money to not report it, but he was abused.
Parents were pissing me off because they felt like they knew what it takes to take care of their son. And
Mhm.
granted, I do feel like parents have, rights when it comes to their children and what they want their children to undergo. But like
Mhm.
we said, somebody of Henry's psychosis, it was causing him to be a danger to himself and others on a day-to-day basis. He was a few altercations away from actually hurting his sister for real, for real. He was hurting her very
Hurting
bad.
her badly. They did like an X-ray of her and everything to like when they took her to the hospital.
She had a
She
fractured
had
rib.
several fractured and broken bones that didn't heal properly. So he was hurting her really badly.
And he was doing it for fun. He even told the detectives, like, I do it to see like how long she would scream and how long she would cry. Like it was
Yeah.
really on some psychotic shit for real.
Psychotic. I cannot remember who it was that assaulted him, but he was assaulted.
I do
But it
kind
was
of
said
feel
that
like you
kind of like
mixing it up with another episode, but
no, it was that episode.
girl, okay. I don't remember that.
Yes.
He was doing too much stuff. First of all, in the midst of this investigation, he's stabbed his mother or like sliced her hand when she tried to take a knife out of his room because he had a knife with him. They were sending him away. He basically went on like this full-on rampage. He trapped his mother in a laundry room, tied Ruby to a bed and started a fire and like was gonna have her like I guess like choke from the inhalation. Went to his neighbor's house, a boy that he plays video games with. He tied him up, their dog, then went to the playroom of the building he lived in, took one of the boys hostage, one of the detectives in the process,
Mm.
and who ended up being able to, apprehend him. Then they informed the family, yeah, he got to get sent away. He cop, he almost killed a kid. That episode did end up having a sequel to it, actually a couple of seasons ago. Henry returns and
He got out at 18.
he
He
got out at
convinced them that
18.
he was healed and he wasn't psychotic anymore.
Yeah, so he basically learned the ways of the facility that he was
Yes, like he mimicked how to be a
normal.
normal. They felt like, okay, he can be released at 18.
And the psychiatrist that treated him, he ended up going to her daughter's dorm, brutally sexually assaulting and torturing her for overnight, for hours. Ended up going on a killing spree. His entire family, except for Ruby.
Except for his sister. Luckily, in the time that he was his family, his sister wasn't home. She was at her friend's house, which is the only reason why he wasn't able to kill his sister.
Yeah.
Now this is years later. His sister at this point was a teenager. He was of age. That was his vengeance. Like he was waiting to get out.
So everything that we just described just now with him getting his vengeance and stuff back, that was on a more recent episode.
8 years later.
The episode that case number 3 has to pertain to did take place in season 14. It was episode 19. Season 22 was when he came back and got his vengeance and stuff like that.
How do you feel about like kids like that getting put away because psychologically they're not there? Do you feel like they could be rehabilitated? Not him, because obviously he couldn't be. But do you feel like kids could be rehabilitated when they're born wrong, when they're born wired wrong?
Generally, I don't think so. I feel like the earlier it gets looked at, the better. But he was already 10. And Dr. Wong said that something like that would have been able to get more help had that should have been noticed at like 4 or 5. Or like when he was still a little.
Yeah, but then it's like, how could you really notice it at that age? Are you thinking maybe it's just a bad kid?
Right. Would assume they're just acting out. It could have been or especially with a boy. Oh, boys being
boys. Like as a boy, he's just rough. Like
he probably would have been able to fool me if I was a judge. Shit, he fooled everybody to
he fooled everybody else. And that kind of honestly, I kind of picked that one because it reminded me of this recent thing that happened. The 12-year-old girl who unalived her little cousin.
Unalived her little cousin. She was psychotic too.
The way she unalived her little cousin by smuggling her and then positioning her body to look like she was
As
sleeping.
if she was sleeping. Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm conflicted when it comes to psychotic kids because it's like, can they actually be rehabilitated?
How can you help people that don't have a conscience? That's the one thing that makes us human. You know, that's why they're seen as monsters or inhumane. The stuff that we rely on as humans to get us through the day-to-day, to help us choose right from wrong, you know, give us our morality, they don't have.
They don't have that, like, opposite for them.
To me, they would just need to be locked away. The very least, for real. Honestly.
Yeah.
We touched on a lot of crazy ass cases. We are gonna stay tuned because y'all already know Tati's joining back. She'll be back.
I'll be back.
Yeah. How you say she'll be back? Don't worry about it. She'll be back many a times this season. With school and everything, I'm trying to make sure that I get as much to you guys as possible. I'm always down to do my content and do what I love and keep y'all posted on music and everything that I got going on. So stay tuned. All right, y'all, stay tuned. All right, bye.
There's a difference between hearing and listening. You get it? A passion, a spirit, a devotion. We're making magic. Come on and talk when you